Welcome back to Star Flag Media Gaming. We have lost a titan, guys. A man whose hands literally shaped the plastic and silicon of our childhoods. This past Friday, February 13th, Hideki Sato, the legendary father of Sega Hardware, passed away at the age of 77. We've lost two Sega titans in less than a few months from each other. One of the founding fathers, and now Hideki Sato. Before we dive into the legacy of the man who gave us the blast processing era, I've got to give a massive shout out to Sergeant America for the heads up on this. This is the kind of news that hits different when you grew up in the era where consoles weren't just media boxes, they were statements of intent, shaping your thoughts and future and who knows, imagination, who knows what else. Sato-san wasn't just an executive in a suit. He was a steward of Sega's soul from the SG-1000. A lot of you guys know this as the precursor to the Master System, but it goes all the way up to the swan song that was the Sega Dreamcast. Today we're putting on the rose-tinted glasses, and honestly, we don't even need them because the hardware this man built was just that damn good. Sato joined Sega back in 1971. Now think about that. He saw the company transition from a United States-based electronics outfit. I bet you guys didn't know that. Sega started in the United States. And then it transformed into a Japanese powerhouse that eventually tried to take over the world. He once told Famitsu that back then, they knew how to make arcade games, but they had no clue about home consoles. But as the SG-1000 started selling, he said, they started to get stars in their eyes because of him. By 1989, Sato was promoted to head of research and development. His mission? A Herculean feat. Take down the Nintendo Entertainment System. Nothing to just sneeze at. You guys don't understand how big the NES was at that time. The NES had crushed the Master System, and Sega wanted revenge. Now, Sato warned it's not going to be easy, and he wanted a console that looked like high-end, upscale sound systems of the time. And that was the big deal with stereo sound. He wanted it to be sleek, rounded, black, and that iconic gold lettering. Now, Sato admitted later that the gold printing was, quote, very expensive, but he mentioned that that was the point that Sega wanted. They weren't playing with toys. They were playing for keeps. Now, let's talk about the Genesis Model 2. I know the purists love the Model 1 with the headphone jack, but for a huge chunk of us in the United States, the Model 2 was the era. It was compact, it was aggressive, and it looked like it belonged in a teenager's room who was too cool for Mario. Now, the Model 1, 1000% belonged to maybe your pop's home entertainment system, above the stereo hooked up to the TV in the living room. The Model 2, that was for you. That was for kids. That was cool. Remember the feeling that you got when you picked up that controller for the first time? Those tactile red buttons, the way the cartridges clicked in what was a satisfying thunk. That was Sato's team. They synthesized arcade power into a budget-friendly console. It gave us Sonic, Streets of Rage, and Mortal Kombat with blood, if you had the code. This was news for gamers who grew up when games were actually games. It wasn't about live services. It was about Genesis does what Nintendo don't. And then we move on to things like the Sega Saturn, which kind of tried to relive what the Genesis was. Not to the same degree of success. But later on, we got the Dreamcast. If the Genesis was Sega's rise, the Dreamcast was their uncompromising masterpiece. My personal favorite console of all time. Now, I want you all to really remember. Now, if you don't remember, I want you guys to close your eyes for 1 minute and just kind of blank out, forget everything you know about video games, think about them in their most primitive sense, and think back to the year 1999, but more specifically, 9999, that launch window. Something that's etched into the memory of every single gamer in the United States at that time. The Dreamcast felt like it fell out of a UFO. It was the first time in my lifetime that Arcade Perfect wasn't just like a marketing lie. Like, we had close. Nintendo with its Nintendo N64. N64 had Cruisin' USA, which was damn close to the arcade. It had Killer Instinct Gold, which was damn close to the arcade. It had Mortal Kombat 4, which was damn close to the arcade. But the Dreamcast? That was the Naomi system. If you guys don't know, please go check out the thousands of videos on YouTube about what the Naomi arcade system was. For me, this was the first time that Arcade Perfect wasn't just a marketing lie. It was the truth. And Sato oversaw this beast. It was the underdog that hosted the loudest, most experimental games of the era. Think about the VMU, the Visual Memory Unit. It's a memory card, but it had a screen on that. Who does that? You could take it out of the Dreamcast. Take it with you, play mini games. Oh, you want to play games during it being plugged in? Cool. You want to play NFL 2K? You can click your plays on your VMU screen. Your buddy next to you can't see what you're picking. You want to play Resident Evil? Your life bar, your stats, it's all on your controller. You don't get that even today, 30 years later. That's a big deal. Who does that? You know who does that? Sega did. Because Sato and his team, they weren't afraid to be weird or try new things. The Dreamcast was a peak, a 3D future that was so bright that it eventually burned the company out of the hardware business. But man, what a way to go. It's a heavy time for Sega fans. Last December, we lost the co-founder, David Rosen. at 95 years old. Go check out that video to learn more about what it was like to be one of the guys that brought gaming to what it is today. And now, Sato-san at the age of 77. When we talk about the console wars, we usually talk about mascots. Mario versus Sonic, later Crash Bandicoot in those killer PlayStation commercials. But the real war, man, that was fought by all the unsung heroes in the research and development labs, by engineers like Hideki Sato. He built the machines that allowed you, that allowed me, that allowed us to escape. He made sure that when you turned on a Sega console, you felt like you were part of something faster, edgier, and more exciting. Sato's influence is immeasurable. Now, there's a book coming out from Beep 21 about his hardware designs and his legacy. And honestly, it can't come soon enough. We're getting to the age where the guys that shaped your imagination are getting older. Shigeru Miyamoto is in his 70s. We need to document this history before the, quote, modern industry completely forgets where its backbone came from. Rest in peace, Sato-san. Thank you for the gold lettering, the blast processing, and the Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast startup sound that still gives us chills. What's your rose-tinted Sega memory? Was it unboxing that Genesis Model 2 on Christmas morning? Or seeing Sonic Adventure for the first time on the Dreamcast? Drop it in the comments. Let's turn the comment section into a tribute to the hardware that made you, that made me, that made us gamers. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me here at Star Flag Media Gaming. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and we will catch you in the next video. Peace!